Welcome back, everyone. I am the Depressed Euro, and this is Langrisser Mobile Apex Season 20. It's been a little while. I apologize for not having something last week. I was kind of just distracted by a lot of other stuff. I was working on some Arkham Horror stuff. I accidentally deleted a video for my Genius of Sapphiros, so I kind of had to deal with that. And I've been kind of took a little bit of time off, and then now I'm trying to catch up on work. So a lot of stuff going on. Also, I just haven't been too energized about the recent meta in Apex. I don't exactly want to constantly ban Dragon Slayer over and over again, because that definitely limits my options on what I can do in future matches. That being said, I was pleasantly surprised to go up against this opponent who doesn't have Dragon Slayer or Enya. So this box here has 3 tanks and 3 healers, I think. No, 4 healers. 4 healers, 3 main tanks. Technically, you can do a little bit of tanking with Ymir here. And the rest of it is kind of, it looks like, I mean, there's some tank busters, but it's honestly, there's no better way to say it than a mix. I mean, there's a couple of assassins, there's technically 4 or 5 characters who can assassinate. So I guess it's an assassination box of a tank push. I mean, I guess that's the only way I can describe it. I mean, and I'm assuming Audon Kelmo's here just mostly for mobility, because she's kind of out of place compared to everything else. Meanwhile, nothing's really changed in this box. Safrine is 5 stars as a recording now. Besides that, I've just been kind of working on catching up on PvE content. I've been doing all of my Gate of Fates for the male characters. Not necessarily because I intend on using them, but because doing those actually gets you vouchers and crystals. And I'm spending less money on this game, so I'm now going to try to stock up through the normal means to get ready for the next batch of summons. Anyway, my opponent bans Ilya right off the bat, and that is it. So we'll go ahead and dive into this. I was actually kind of torn. I was like, I don't even know where to start. Because, I expect to either ban, Dragon Slayer or maybe Enya, but I didn't have any of those options. I guess that it is a mix box. There is the mix is Audon Kelmo with Virilia here. You can technically kind of do a mass AoE spam there. Anyway, I go ahead and get rid of Jace. I do only have 2 tanks, and I don't plan on picking a tank immediately, so he's the biggest threat because he can definitely he can just literally reach me and just snipe somebody if he wants to. So, get rid of him, and I go ahead and grab Bright Summoner. They go ahead and get rid of Christian and Virilia. So, they got rid of one of my tanks, but not the other one. They did go ahead and opt to take a healer immediately. Probably because they see I have a number of AoEs, I'm guessing, or also just to deal with the status effects that I can do that are hard to deal with. So I go ahead and get rid of Virilia, get rid of Ymir. And at this point, I was like, I'll go ahead and grab a tank. Obviously, they do have assassins, but they also have kind of high mobility, just striker type characters too. So I was just like, you know what, we'll grab a tank and just see what we can make happen here. They get rid of Eshian, get rid of Enya. They grab Audon Kelmo. So I was like, all right, well, I'll go ahead and get rid of Talia, get rid of Isolde. So at this point, their only primary assassin, I think, is this person that I don't remember the name of. Oh my god, that took me forever to look up. Alright, Seraphina. Yeah, Seraphina, I think, it has assassination capabilities. I know she's like that poison type character. I don't know exactly how she works. And my opponent hadn't picked Bright Summoner yet, so I was like, maybe she... I mean, at this point, I was like, maybe it's a holy class, in which case maybe you don't need that many healers. I go ahead and grab Sovereign of the Ice Throne, and or Ice Abyss, however you should call it. They ban my Audon Kelmo, get rid of my Mariandel. At this point, I'm still left with all 4 of my healers. Yeah, I'm still left with 4 healers. One of them is more of a passive healer, but yeah. And I, of course, have the Awakened one as well. I grabbed Seraphina, which this one is infantry class. So I was like, all right, let's get rid of Bright Summoner, get rid of Andriel. So at this point, all they have left is healers and tanks. I go ahead and grab Risen Seal at this point. They ban my Liana, they ban my Salika, they grab their Liana. I was actually kind of okay with them having extra actions at this point. I was like, I could take 2 nukes from out and kill them. That's not an issue. So at this point, I was like, all right, let's get rid of SP Ledin and get rid of Landius. I'm completely okay with them having Lightbringer as their tank. Obviously, she can buff pretty much everything here, which is a little annoying, but I'd rather deal with that than deal with whatever Landius does, because I think he has an aura that reduces AoE damage, which honestly that's not a big deal, but I know SP Ledin can definitely just go and grab me over and over again, and that will cause me issues. So get rid of them, and I go ahead and grab Agnes. So this kind of ensures that even if they do an assassination thing, I have at least some self-reses available now for everybody. All right. All right. Risen Seal here, I went full heals with Shrine Maidens. Oh, I guess one thing to note is my opponent is using the same Covenant as me, which is the one that specializes in magic damage, which is not going to be very useful for Seraphina, but everything else here is magic damage, so I guess it's something. But yeah, Risen Seal, Shrine Maidens, full heals, Sovereign of the Ice Abyss, all of our exclusives with Fairy Spirit Prophets. Lightbringer, I brought Royal Protectors, because I figured I was going to be more concerned about magic damage than anything else. Have Discipline, 3C, and Light Flow. Bright Summoner, usual kit, Fairy Spirit Prophets, Holy Dragon Breath, and then all of her summons. And then Agnes here, I went with Shrine Maidens with all of her exclusives. My opponent brought Auden Kelma with Radiant Preachers. I think this is the first time we've seen those. They do magic damage, they get plus 30% attack, and for each one block between the target and this unit, it gets an additional 5% attack, and then before battle, the soldier recovers about 5% of their max HP. So a little bit of an attacking unit that is specialized in long-range attacks, which actually goes pretty well with Auden Kelma, I suppose. Seraphina, I think this is our first time dealing with the Seraphina, so this is a infantry Seraphina. She does have 2 range attack, 3 movement, attack and crit increased by 25%. I don't know if that's the max or not. This unit's attacks are not affected by melee damage reduction, so she can attack in melee. She ignores obstruction from enemies when moving, so she can move through people. It also doesn't consume mobility, so she's very similar to, was it Alicia? The one from, I don't even remember that name of that game, the one with the guns. That Silvaria's in. Let's see, when she moves through, she applies Cutting Toxin to enemies, which will increase the debuff duration. It's increased by 1, and chance to be critically hit is increased. When it's applied again, its duration is refreshed and becomes Death's Erosion. After taking action, if this unit has at least 4 debuffs, it will immediately die. Replaced with takes fixed damage if it's in non-PvP. And they both ignore immunity and can't be dispelled. So that's actually kind of interesting. It ignores all the immunity, so it actually bypasses crystals, which is kind of neat. But getting 4 debuffs on somebody through crystal healing, crystal barriers, is probably not possible in the first place. But you can still get the other effects, I guess. She has a passive, after attacking, gains the opportunity to move a number of blocks equal to the number of blocks moved before the battle. So she has a hit and run similar to Knight of Mystery. Active effect is select 1 enemy unit and apply Cunning Toxin to them. Ignores immunity, can't be dispelled, lasts for 2 rounds. 2 turns. After use, any buffs on the caster do not lose their turn count and can move another 3 blocks and attack again. Wedge Sting is 2 range attack. Oh, and then the debuff thing is it's global range. Wedge Sting, passive, after initiating battle, deals fixed damage once to any enemy within 1 ring range of the target. Enemies with Cunning Toxin or Death's Erosion cannot be immune to the fixed damage. Damage is equal to 0.2 times damage. This battle's damage, up to 10 times the caster's attack. Physical, let's see, does 1.5 times Okay, and then the attack thing is 1.5 times attack. The passive effect's fixed damage is doubled. Soldiers will attack with it. It will stun the enemy if they already have her poisons applied. And will apply Death's Erosion afterwards. And then she has Riposte, which is just a guard bypass. Alright, she has Duskwing Blades, which is one of the latest troops. It's an assassin, attacks 15%, 30% crit chance. If in the danger zone, they get an additional attack and crit damage increase for 1 turn after you've taken an action in the danger zone. So this can be pretty good if you have an act again. You just move in, get the buff, and then maximize your damage. Lightbringer, Holy Guard mages, and then has the same skills as mine. Liana went Windbloom Chantress, which we're familiar with. Act again, 3C and heal. And then Rose and Seal actually brought faction buff, which I think it does apply to Seraphina. I don't remember what her factions are. She does have Crystal Healing, Miracle, and Fighting Monks. Okay. So real quick, we can go all the way up to here. We can summon here, and we can go all the way to here. So the only target I have is Lightbringer, which is weird. I guess I'm more used to having Bright Summoner up top, but I wasn't comfortable doing that simply because of the swamp, but that would at least got me in range of attacking Audon Kelmo instead. That being said, there was probably a good chance I was not going to get killed either way. But this is not going to stop me, simply because I'll be able to get the act again for not killing a Lightbringer, and Seraphine is not in guard range. She doesn't have very much magic defense. She's infantry, so I don't think she has access to last rites. So there's not really anything protecting her from being blasted besides just reduced crit chance, it looks like. Alright, so with that in mind, we'll go ahead and summon. We run up. Definitely not going to get killed. It's full HP with holy troops. Still does okay damage, though. It's going to apply the terrain effect. It also my... Oh, it didn't trigger this time. So yeah, I specifically moved up here, hoping that it would favor going up, teleporting on top instead of behind it. If it teleported behind it, I would not be able to reach Seraphina, which would have been unfortunate. I could have possibly went and got kill on Lightbringer and have her self-res at least, but other than that. Also, teleporting here did apply my Hat's silence effect to Audon Kelmo. And then I'm going to move within 3 range to attack Seraphina. She is in woods. I need to do about 27,000. I do 35,000, no crit. So right off the bat I got kill. At this point I was completely willing to trade, because at this point they only have 1 DPS left, and so do I technically. But I would be able, if they would spend their time dealing with Bright Summoner and the summon here, I can just devote all my time trying to get to the middle. Also, I did proc silence on Audon Kelmo, so now they have to devote more time to try to deal with this. So my opponent opts to go ahead and just try to get rid of the debuffs, it looks like. And does. So at this point I was like, okay, I can get all the way up to here. I'm just out of range of pulling Bright Summoner back. What I didn't think about, though, is I can actually reach Bright Summoner right now. All I have to do is move essentially like 3 steps to here, pull Rose and Seal, and then take... it's like from here I can go to here and then apply the chains to both these two, and then move up and then pull them back with 3C. Because I think it's, what, 5 range for this thing? It's not showing, but that's okay. But I didn't think about that, so I'm just going to run up with Lightbringer first. Go to the max range. At this point I was like, okay, they'll probably kill somebody, but they didn't. Instead, she opted to just put up a guard. So I was like, okay. So at this point I was like, alright, I'm going to go ahead and pull Lightbringer. She's immune to Displace right now. And then this thing has a range of 5 blocks, so I can chain both the Summon and the Bright Summoner together. So I do that. And then I can move another 2 steps, and I can pull anything within 3 range that I've chained with my 3C all the way back. So with that, I managed to get a kill, and I pulled everything away. Bright Summoner's not in guard range, but she is in range of Agnes's self-res, which has a range of 5. So with that, we're pretty much good to go. My opponent does go ahead and push forward outside of guard range and start setting up portals. Wasn't too concerned about it. I did get kill on one of their units before they can act, so they're going to have an initiative next round. But I go ahead and just use this opportunity to go ahead and put up Miracle. And I figured I'll just be fine for now. So opponent's still pushing. So most of my stuff is on cooldown, unfortunately. So I'm just kind of like, alright, we'll just play it by ear. But I go ahead and push forward with Bright Summoner. Try to get rid of at least a debuff and maybe put out some of this terrain here and start just putting pressure. Obviously the crystal barriers are going to prevent any of the debuffs. And the crystal healing itself is just going to kind of passively deal with the AoE. But it still puts a little bit of pressure. Again, I'm still out of guard range. I am in forest, but other than that, I won't be able to survive a hit from Autumn Kelmo. And I go ahead and just put out more AoE, put out more of that electric train. Alright, so Rosenseal teleports forward with the portal after healing everybody. So I go ahead and do Glowhammer. This is just to passively get some cooldown reduction. And at this point, Autumn Kelmo is going to go ahead and blast me. She is near our portal, so she does get piercing. But of course, I have Agnes nearby, so I self-res at 1% life. So the weakness effect lasts for about 2 rounds, and she'll be silenced throughout that. She does 50% less decreased damage and can't use active skills. 3C can fix that, but as long as I can keep her alive, I'm kind of okay with this. I figured my opponent is going to follow up with Act Again at this point and try to finish her off with an AoE, so I went ahead and did Light Flow to ensure that I have 5 stacks and then passively heal with Lightbringer's Inscription talent. And as predicted, there it is. I got a little confused at this point because I completely forgot about the portal and how it reduces my mobility. I was trying to get to this tile with Rosenseal so I can just block everything off, but I couldn't reach. So I was like, alright, whatever, I'll just heal everybody up. So we get hit with Dimensional Explosion. Everyone has crystal barriers. And we kind of just tank it. And now all of our stuff's on cooldown. So I go ahead and do Abyssal Ice Prison here. Again, just putting some pressure. There's not going to be any way for me to apply the freeze effect since the crystal barriers are up. Alright, Lightbringer's attacking. About equal damage. So yeah, Queen's Knights or whatever they're called, they have 30% reduced magic damage, or magic damage taken. So I go ahead and move in with my summon to try to get kill here. And unfortunately got counter-killed. I mean, at this point my summon didn't really have anything left anyway. So I was planning on doing this to break the 100% buff. And I was hoping I was going to get killed with Bright Summoner even with the debuff. So I move in and get attack here. And we both nearly die, but I didn't quite get kill. So my opponent falls back to heal. Well, actually not to heal, but to put up faction buff, which only applies to her. It might have applied to Seraphina, but I would never know because she's dead. So I go ahead and move up, just let the passive healing kick in. I have control of most of the inner tiles here. My opponent teleports back here. I don't know why. It also didn't proc or Act Again, and I don't know why that is either. Otherworldly space. It's not that. Yeah, I don't know what the plan was here. She didn't get an act again. I wonder if it was this aura. And I guess it was checking the. I don't know. It's either that or it was still on cooldown, but I didn't see any other cooldowns. Whatever it was, it teleported her back to our portal, which puts her out of guard range. But I go ahead and take it slow. I have more units than them, so I can just let them pass their turns until I have an opportunity. So the portal is kind of hindering me here. I can only move like 2 spaces at a time, which is making it hard for me to shift around here. I can go to this tile and hit everybody with Pleiades Ray, but it would take me out of guard range, and I definitely need to make sure that if whatever I do, it kills Autonkelmo. Autonkelmo does not have crystal healing, only has a damage taken minus 15% and nothing else. All of our buffs are worn off, it looks like. So I go ahead and do this. This does extra damage to Holy and Mages. And then I use this opportunity to go ahead and do Icebound Vice. I could have attacked in melee, but I decided this will allow me to go 2 steps back and be in guard range. So now, at this point, yeah, all they have left is 2 healers and a tank, and I have control of the middle. I could just pretty much just outlast them. And that's the match. It was a refreshing match, I'll say that much. I am a little curious if Seraphine is, in fact, Empire, so I'm just going to check real quick. She is, in fact, Empire. So she would have been buffed by Rosenseal if she had actually stayed alive. Alright. So, that's pretty much it. This was the last match for the season. It's going to be doing the rankings next. I am ending this at around 365, so I'm definitely top 500 as usual. Overall, it was pretty good. I definitely appreciate taking the time to actually do sort of focus purely on rush strats. As you guys have known, I usually stick to the usual 2-4 setup, 2 tanks, 4 healers setup, and focusing purely on making sure I get 1 of each before I do anything else. And that definitely hindered my ability to deal with a lot of different boxes such as rush and AoE rush. So shifting over to where I had 0 tanks whatsoever and just focusing purely on just trying to out kill my opponent definitely kind of made me more comfortable having no tanks. But I did eventually start running. But it felt like every time I shift my play to something else, like it feels like my opponents were already preemptively preparing for that and countering me already. That being said, the experience allowed me to be comfortable enough that once I was having trouble against opponents that were tank pushing, which used to be something I was good against, I had to kind of change the box up. Obviously, the theme originally was to do nothing but magic damage and just try to be a rush type strat for that. Theoretically, I could do a tank push that's still all magic, but it's super limiting. Not having Eshian definitely made it a lot easier for my opponent to just pick what they see as threats. That being said, I did find Mariandel Mariandel and Safrine were both pretty decent. Safrine is just kind of hard to wrap your head around because of how her summons and act-agains and swaps and all that nonsense works. Mariandel is just pretty solid. If you have her exclusive equipment, and of course, I think she has a talent inscription at this point. I mean, if you have those things, it's very easy to get her to max stacks, which gets her an insane amount of extra range and span with her AoEs. Also, I believe it also increases her actual intelligence stat while she has them. So she just does a lot of extra, surprising amounts of damage while also passively healing everybody around her. I did briefly try out Alia, and she's pretty good. It's just, unfortunately, there's just a lot. These past few months there's just been a lot of big hit characters that kind of just overshadow her. I believe she gets an inscription. So I believe I've seen her inscription in the future where she actually gets some better act again abilities where it's based off her, like, if she has certain stacks of blessings or whatever, or was it fortunes, or rather. She can actually get act agains off it or something like that, so that might get her up and running. Obviously, we're on our way to getting SP TRS, and SP TRS is actually a rather good improvement. TRS used to be very, very good in the very beginnings of Apex, because obviously she could provide that buff that passively heals people after combat. But when things kind of shifted towards more AoE and stuff, she kind of fell off. She came back a little bit with her 3C, which gave a little bit of additions to the rush strat. And of course, her exclusive is also pretty good because it allows her to apply attack blessing without actually taking it. But supposedly SPTRS, her talent will actually work against not only attacks, but any sort of damage, like AoEs, which will kind of give us another way of passively healing, which will be really nice. So I'll probably be trying out TRS probably next season, depending on how things shift. A lot of new characters will probably be coming out between now and then. I know there's the Dead or Alive characters coming. And then there's a lot of other characters, including some faction buffers, and eventually LLR Farrakwa will eventually be coming, which will be kind of interesting. I do think I like this box. It has a nice balance where I have tanks, but I don't feel obligated to take them immediately. And then I have a decent amount of healers and passive healers that I can kind of just do what I want with a lot of this. The biggest thing that hurt me, like I said, was not having Eshian. I had to use other characters that had act against, but they didn't have the same range and pressure that Eshian has with her high mobility and attacking. Ilya's really good. Unfortunately, she gets banned pretty often, and she's actually a pretty harsh counter against my Bright Summoner strat of just rushing in and killing something, because if you let Ilya get 3C kill on something else, that's pretty much it. That's also partially why I shifted back to taking tanks again, because Ilya can just keep blasting you over and over again if you let her. The Awakened one is kind of just here at this point. She is good. She definitely helps thwart rush strats, but any sort of tank push that brings Rose and Seal, she's just kind of, I don't really care to bring her usually. Frozen Ice Melda is fantastic, not much to say about that. And then, yeah, all the healers here are all top-notch. Bringing back Auden Kelmo in combination with Ilya works really, really well if you can get both of them out, because the portals and the aura can reduce mobility by like 3, which is ridiculous. I don't really have much to say about Enya. I only got to use her, I think, twice, and one of them was against a rush box that just killed me. And then the other one, I think I actually got the summon off, but I don't really remember much about it. But she's a good character. It's just she usually gets banned, and the other issue, of course, is her 3C is on cooldown on the first round, which there's ways to get around that at least. Besides that, yeah, there's not much else to say. I kind of wish I could bring back Sylvaria at some point. The only limitation there is I need to change my covenants around and make sure I at least have the physical attacker one built up, which I don't think I do. If I do, that'll be great, but I don't think I do. But I'll just have to kind of wait and see what sort of characters come out. I don't believe the Dead or Alive characters got really much of a splash, unfortunately. But yeah, honestly, I don't have anything to say about the Dragon Slayer because I'm just going to always ban him. He's a pain in AI arena. I haven't run into him in... oh, actually, I think I ran into him once in the regular arena, but I killed everybody else and my opponent gave up anyway. Most of the time, I've been doing my regular arenas much later in the week, which usually results in me just having AI opponents, which is much more preferable. And like I mentioned before in the start of the video, I've been focusing more on catching up on bonds. Even if it's a character you're not using, I definitely recommend building up your bonds for some of these characters. Because each of these things here is, you're getting about, doing all of these essentially gets you about like a little over 1 summon's worth of crystals. And then the Gate of Fates themselves also can get you fancy rewards. All these, you get crystals here, crystals here, crystals here. So that's another 2 summons there. And then usually you'll get vouchers in a lot of these, either through the encounter itself or through its feats. And of course the feats themselves have crystals. So yeah, I've been just kind of chipping away at those. I have been doing the I did the latest time riff, which is always fun. I don't like the portal leap stuff, to be honest. I don't like being forced to use a certain character, and I generally don't like most of the puzzles. So I'm kind of just doing them little by little while taking in the story bit by bit. So not much to say there, and I still have to do everything in this map as well. I've done all the story, of course, but I haven't done all of the challenge missions and some of the side missions here. So I kind of just do that whenever I have the spare stamina for it. Since I no longer spend money, I don't have as many of these Secret Realm things to worry about. So yeah, I've just been kind of just chugging along on the content on my own pace at this point. But yeah, anyone that's been watching the PvP content and been enjoying it, thank you. And as always, I'll see you guys next season. So I'm the Depressed Hero, Langrisser Mobile Apex Season 20. See ya.